What's up, y'all? Texas country music singer Xavier Joseph here. Thank you for joining me on another episode of my Life Offstage series. Today we're going to be talking about traveling with kids in an airport. I'm going to give you all 3 tips that have really helped us over the past year and 8 months or so. In that time frame, we have taken my daughter on, I think, 6 trips in the airport. She has gone to the airport a lot. So we have learned a lot about that. A lot has changed from, I think she went the first time about 4 or 5 months after she was born. Those times were easy. So we're not talking about taking an infant on a plane. We're going to be talking about taking more of a toddler on the plane because that's where it gets really interesting. So whether I'm traveling for my music or in personal life, we travel a lot. There is a lot of travel in our life. So yeah, wanted to do my part to help out those parents out there. And I've mentioned this before, maybe in other videos, that I don't know tons of stuff. I just know from the experiences that I have been through and that my wife and I have learned from. So hopefully there's somebody here who can benefit from some of that knowledge, since the one thing we do have under our belt that we do a lot is traveling. So let's get into it. So what I mean by having a tiered system is we all know what our kids like, what they love, but it's very different than, keeping them occupied at a restaurant or whatnot for 30 minutes or so, after they've eaten or before the food comes or whatever, than keeping them occupied in an airport, and in the airplane for such a long time, between naps and everything. So what I mean by that is that let's say that your kid loves more than everything. They love to color, they love to read books, they love to play these little games, they love to play with these little toys, but the thing they love the most is to watch some show on Netflix or something on YouTube or something on Disney Plus or something, whatever it is. I tend to feel like I see a lot of parents start off with that thing that they love the most, that their kid loves absolutely the most. An important thing that I think needs to be done is know the hierarchy of all the toys. None of this stuff is rocket science, but know the hierarchy of things that your kid loves. And don't lead with the big guns. Save that thing they love so much as the last line of defense to keep them occupied. It will allow them to feel like they're playing with a bunch of different things more often. It'll allow them to keep their mind occupied. Generally, they will tend to take breaks from those things they like and stop and eat or be distracted by something else in the airport or whatnot, and then we'll come back to it, so it will feel new. So you may not have to pull out the movies or the streaming services or whatnot till much later. The way that we see with our daughter is that the second she's bored with that top tier thing, then we're kind of stuck because she wants to start moving around, and in an airplane, that becomes a little bit difficult for her to start moving around, as much as she would like. So doing the things that keep her in place and having that tiered system, for us, it starts with just reading little books. We have 2 or 3 little books that we can change. Then it goes to coloring. Then it goes to actually playing with little toys that she has, some of her favorite little toys. And then we will move into watching Bluey, Barney, or Mickey Mouse, one of the Mickey Mouse shows. So we have those options that we have. And the second we actually take her out and let her start roaming around the airplane and get some exercise, putting her back in her seat is absolutely impossible. She wants to keep moving. So if we don't do those things and we take her out immediately to start roaming around, we got a problem. All right, so this is like the sneaky big one, if you will. I know none of us want to pay extra money for a seat, and especially if we don't have to. There's a certain amount of years, I don't remember how many years it is right now, but there's a certain amount of years where kids are pretty much free for so many things, and we don't want to have to spend when we don't have to. So we took our daughter to Disneyland at about 1.5 years. We did not buy the middle seat. Did not want to spend $300+ on that seat. So decided, she's just going to sit on our lap and we're just going to figure it out. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that the flight attendant shuffled some people around because it wasn't a full flight and let her sit in the middle, it would have been an absolute disaster of a flight. By the time they get to that age, regardless of what the airlines say that you don't have to pay for or whatever, there are certain things that just make sense. And by that age, if you have a toddler that is walking, you will know that they're going to learn to run pretty soon after. Everything else starts getting more exciting to them. They're not going to want to sit still, let alone sit still in your lap for 2 hours, you know? I will never, ever from this point in time not get the middle seat, because she is, at this point in time, another person who needs a whole seat by herself. She needs to be able to get down off the seat, get back on the seat, put her toys on the little tray table, do all those things. So from my experience, and I think it goes hand in hand with a lot of other parents who have toddlers, even though you don't have to pay for the seat and you can choose the free infant and lap thing, it just makes the whole experience easier, more convenient, nicer for yourself, for everyone around you, if you just get that middle seat. I know nobody wants to pay for the seat, but I feel that it's just something that really needs to be done, so everybody can enjoy the flight. For me, I think this is one of the most important ones, because I feel this is what leads parents to get to a level of frustration they wouldn't generally have if they weren't focused on the other people around them. And this goes for the plane, this goes for restaurants, this goes for supermarkets, this goes for other people's homes. I feel as parents, especially with a toddler that's running around, and people who don't have parents, we end up feeling like other people think we can't control our kids, that we don't know our kids, that we are bad parents sometimes, all the different things that you put in your head, whether they're true or not, things that you end up thinking. And I would say that if we were to eliminate those thoughts and focus solely on the kid and what they're wanting in that moment, we would stay calmer. The kid wouldn't feed off our energy. We would be able to calm them down faster, figure out what they want faster, and make the whole situation better. So my biggest suggestion, my biggest tip for you guys, when you're traveling with your kids, focus on the kid. If the kid breaks down and melts down and starts crying, figure out your way, however long it takes, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, whether you know they need to be removed and brought to the bathroom to have a moment by themselves, whether they need to stay right there and there's something that needs to be solved, whatever you think it needs to be done, do it the way that you feel it needs to be done, and forget those around you who are either getting, there's always going to be someone who's annoyed, whether they say it or not. There's going to be someone who's maybe making a face, but the majority of people understand that you're doing your best and that you didn't make that kid start crying, that kids will be kids. So truly forget the other people around you and focus solely on your kid. I think that is one of the biggest things, that piece of advice that I can give, because yeah, it takes a village and whatnot, but it's your village. It's not other people's village. And, you know, it really doesn't matter what they think or their opinions on your parenting or whatever. If you know wholeheartedly that you're being a good parent, you're attending to your child the way it needs to be done, then what more can you do? And in my experience, if I just focus on her and I just take the time to attend to her needs, she calms down faster. So that's just my opinion. Again, this is all just my opinion. This could all not apply to you at all. But for me, focusing on her first and foremost has always been the number one thing. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me, guys. Again, these are just the 3 tips that I think help a lot in the airport. There are plenty more. These are just my opinions, things that have helped us, that we've kind of learned during our travels. Hopefully there's someone that it helps. If you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy these tips and tricks, please like and subscribe. It helps so much for a channel like mine that's starting to build. If you're into country music as well, go down below. Follow me on social medias. I have a new single that just dropped. It's called Make or Mark. It's doing fantastic on radio, doing fantastic on streaming services. So if you're just finding me for the first time, I'm excited for you to hear this song. You're going to love it so much. It is such a fun song. And anyway, till next time, guys, thanks so much for joining me on my Life Offstage series, and I will see you guys later.